Good afternoon. This is Dr. Norma Thomas, Social Work 541, and we have made it to week 5, more than halfway through the course. So, as always, let's start with our introduction so that we can see what we need to accomplish for this week. The learning objectives are as follows: to develop and apply micro-practice social work skills necessary for community practice. I always say if you're a good micro practitioner, then you can be a good macro practitioner because you need those basic skills to do work on the larger scale. Describe the importance of cultural competence and work with communities. Develop and apply group social work skills necessary for community practice, because community practice is group work. And to examine the importance of leadership in community practice. Our learning resources for the week are as follows. First is a PowerPoint. So I would suggest you look at that first, and it is as follows, looking at skill building in particular, and I will move this over. So our objectives we have already gone over. What are the goals? The goals of community work vary. So at different times you will be working on individual change, organizational change, community change, political, governmental change, or more deep-seated cultural change. There are a number of different roles that a community worker plays. They are teacher, catalyst, facilitator, broker, advocate, researcher, counselor, and so much more. Educator is another one that is called upon. So in terms of framing the necessary skills, there are a number of skill domains, and they cover interpersonal relationships, group skills, organizing, administration, supervision, planning and program development, organizational assessment, research and evaluation, and policy development. And so looking at our next slides, in terms of interpersonal skills, building relationships and trust with others in the community. These skills include being culturally sensitive. Often we are called to work with communities of which we are not a part, so we have to be sensitive to the cultural norms and view the world through the lens of the people that live in that community in order to build trust. Respect goes without saying, but there are a number of ways we can show respect: by sharing, by asking permission, by getting involved in local activities, to contribute what we can, our level of expertise, knowing that people in the community have the most expertise about what needs to be done in their own community, to be honest, to not interrupt, and again, give credit where credit is due. Honesty, do what you say, be transparent, answer people's questions, tell folks what the rules are in advance. Group skills, the decision-making process. Ideally, if we can build decisions based on consensus, that everyone gets something out of the decision, even though not everything that everybody wants may happen, but we at least are able to agree because all voices are heard. Same with being democratic. There may be people who don't feel that all their issues were addressed, but again, they feel good about the process. Going back up to leadership skills. Leaders, and one of the roles that social workers play is helping to motivate persons to act when they may feel powerless, coaching people through the process, managing conflict, which often occurs, to be a problem solver, no different than working on the individual and family level, and then having a level of emotional competence, emotional intelligence. And if you don't know what that is, then I would invite you to read up a little bit more on emotional intelligence. What are some additional skills? So organizations or clients, we need to have a good idea of how to do budgeting and fiscal management, how to work with a board of directors to develop resources to do program evaluation so we know what is being implemented works or not, to understand what we call OD, organizational development, having some awareness of community information systems and technology, leadership and personnel management, networking, marketing, which is now so critical with social media, and then being able to do outreach. So going back to our learning resources for the week, there again, chapter 13, 14, 20, 27, 28, and 41 from the University of Kansas toolbox around issues of leadership, cultural competence, spirituality, and rewarding of accomplishments are critical. There are a number of supplemental readings, and there are 2 videos. And one of the discussion posts is going to ask you to comment after you have looked at these videos. I would advocate looking at both. The 10-city one is shorter. Just bear in mind this is done from the perspective of RT, which is Russian television, but it is really quite poignant about the issues of homelessness and also a number of ethical issues related to homelessness. How people should be held accountable or not, what brings people into homelessness. Should people have jobs in order to earn some of the benefits that you will see provided to people in this 10-city? Should, and often this video talks about how we treat the homeless. We think that they are people who don't work, but actually many of the people in this video have had jobs, but they've also made some choices that have caused them to be in homelessness. So the ethical issues are there. The Interrupters is about a group of people in Chicago trying to interrupt the violence in the city of Chicago. I believe the video was done in 2011. So I know in terms of this program, there have been some budget cuts. And if you look specifically at Amina Matthews, who is featured in this video, she is still a community activist, but also has had to struggle with her own personal issues. She was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. So next, first there is a reminder that our community needs and services plan is due in week 6. And I'm hoping I can get to this very quickly, which is in the major projects and assignments, so that you can take a look at this for week 6. So this will take a second to get to. So week 6 is this assignment. So this is your assignment with your dyad or triads. This talks about, again, formatting. So if you did not look at this before, make sure you look at it now. Let's see if we can get to the actual community needs and services plan. Okay. So this is due in week 6. The overview, this is part 2 of your community needs and services assessment. You and your diet partner are to develop a logical plan to deal with a community problem you've identified. Use headings so you can make sure that you don't leave anything out. So first is your community summary. What's the community? You've done this work already, so provide a summation of the community that is your target along with the problem you are targeting. Essentially, this is an abstract of what you're going to be working on. Then you're doing a literature review. See the requirements for at least 10 references, some of which can be from class readings, but you will also need to find outside resources. And this literature review is going to look at interventions used in other communities to deal with the same or similar problem. Provide a description of your plan to address this problem, which should include the theoretical model that is guiding your plan. And remember, there's a PowerPoint that looks specifically at theoretical models for working in community. And a description of at least 5 specific advocacy organizing activities that actually comprise the intervention. At least 2 of these 5 should be targeted at the media, local or state politicians, or other power interests in the community. This includes a plan to write a press release and a letter to the editor. So this is a paper that is done jointly with your dyad or triad. So it's one submission and it's between 5 to 7 double-spaced pages, which do not include the title and reference page. It's one submission per group. So remember that. It's one submission per group. So we have our reminder. Our first discussion, you are going to look at one of those videos mentioned before. You're going to complete your initial post, which includes looking at the community organizer identified in the video. Provide a list of no less than 5 characteristics of that activist identified in the film. Don't just name the characteristics of the community activist. Provide specific examples and descriptions of each characteristic. When did you see them display this characteristic, and how did you see them display this characteristic? Describe in your own words why you think these particular skills are so important, and if there are skills that you didn't see used and they might have been of assistance for this organizer, what would they have been? And for this one, you are responding to at least 2 of your classmates. So remember, you are responding to at least 2. The second discussion post requires you to choose a theoretical model for community intervention. So this will go a long way in helping you in that week 6 assignment. So for your initial post, you will draw on the course readings from week 4 on community practice models and changing community, as well as the important characteristics of community practice models that you have come up with in last week's discussion. So identify and describe the theoretical model that you would like to use in an intervention plan for the community you are using in your community needs and services assessment assignment. So it can be one of the models in week 4, or if you have another theoretical model that you've come up with in your research, please use that model. What's your rationale for choosing that model? You can consult with your dyad, but in this case, you are each doing your own post. So you are coming up with each are coming up with your own theoretical model, and your models must be different between all members of the dyad or triad. Then you're going to respond to one of your classmates. So again, those are the assignments for the week, the 2 discussion posts, and again, a reminder to begin thinking about what you're going to submit in week 6. I look forward to reading your discussion post. If you have any questions, please make sure to get in touch with me as quickly as possible. Everyone in the class so far is doing very well, so keep up the good work, because we are now into the home stretch of completing those final projects and assignments. Again, if you have any questions, let me know, and I look forward to reading all your assignments this week. Thank you.